I think that we could probably use some of those artists. Too.
All right, let's get moving. Okay, I call to order the meeting at 6 p.m. We will begin with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that the land on which we live, work, learn, and commune is the original homelands of the indigenous people of West Sacramento, who have stewarded this land throughout the generations. We acknowledge and we thank the original inhabitants who have occupied, maintained, and secured this place, and who still exist on this land. We respect and celebrate the many diverse indigenous people still connected to this land on which we gather. Thank you. I would ask, would Rhonda lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Rhonda, we have to do roll call first.
All right, really quick roll call. Chair Corwitz.
Here.
Commissioner Peterson.
Peterson. Here.
Peterson, sorry. Commissioner Archuleta.
Here.
Commissioner Gleason.
Here.
Commissioner Perez.
Here.
And alternate Commissioner Volkar.
Here.
Right, we have a quorum. Thank you.
Okay, Miss Rhonda, would you like to lead us in the
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, item 1B, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda, and we do have one. Oh.
We have item 1A first. We have our new commissioner we'd like to swear in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Dawn
I'm looking at
Peterson.
this and not this.
Sorry. So, after the oath is read, please respond with either I agree or I disagree. I, Dawn Peterson, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I will take this obligation freely, without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
I agree.
Thank you and welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Ms. Dawn Peterson. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to join our commission?
Oh, I'm on the spot. I am an artist. At one point, I was an art teacher. I am pretty involved in artistic activities around Sacramento, West Sacramento region. I've been a Chalk It Up to Sacramento volunteer artist for, gosh, almost 30 years now. And I just want to have a better involvement in arts that are going on in West Sacramento.
Great, thank you, welcome.
Thank you.
Now we will do item 1B, presentations by the public on matters not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of the commission. The commission is prohibited by law from discussing issues not on the agenda brought to them at this time.
All right, we have one comment from Rhonda Pope Flores. I would like to note there is a 3-minute time limit, so I'm going to start the timer. Well,
Her mic on?
Probably.
Rhonda, I just want to make sure that your mic is on so that we can all hear
You guys didn't hear it?
There, okay, cool.
Oh, I'm short. That's better. Okay, so let me get to the chase. My concerns kind of deal with the historic preservation part of things. I like art and all that other stuff, especially culture, but, and I don't even know if this is the right venue, but I figured I'm going to come and talk to bring awareness. One incident that took place, the 213 3rd Street, I think it's now been resolved, but that was a scary situation. So we have a historic home in Old Broderick, Washington. I don't know what the heck they call it now. Anyways, that was a concern to me, and that is a concern that I've had for some time. You see lots of development happening, especially along the riverfront. You know, what happens on that side of the river, I'm not so concerned with. I'm more focused on this side because this is where I grew up. I played along that river. My mom fished in that river. And my concern is that with the incident that took place with 213 3rd Street, there needs to be awareness for historic preservation. There are a lot of old homes and families that still own those homes along the river, along the levees, along Old Broderick. And I looked at some of the documents. The VFW, the bright VFW is not on this inventory. The old post office on the bright side is not on this historic inventory. Maybe it's somewhere else, and maybe I'm talking out of turn. But if it's not, then that concerns me. There's a lot of historic buildings that need to be protected. And so my concern today and my awareness is to plead with you to develop an actual historic preservation policy plan and implement them, because I looked at that list and there's a whole bunch of places that no longer exist. The ILW U-Haul, I had my 15th birthday there. You want to know what's there now? Apartments. And they're probably high luxury apartments that none of the community members can afford here. So I have that concern. I grew up here. I know the struggle. I was part of the struggle. And so I just really want to urge you to protect cultural and historic resources. That's a whole nother one, because cultural, I'll come for another time to talk about that. But the historic resources, you know, we bought the right VFW. We're going to restore it. We're going to bring it back to its original glory, make it beautiful, and have it with that time period. We should do that with all of these historic, these are gems that we're going to lose if we don't do something about it. It's really important. So I urge you to, I will volunteer myself. My tribe has a historic preservation department. I've done numerous historic preservation trainings. I've worked with state historic preservation, all levels. So I will put myself out there to help if I can. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Consent agenda, item 2, consideration of approval of the minutes for the August 29th, 2022 regular meeting.
I bring forth a motion to pass the minutes.
Can I second the motion? I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
And I just note, I'm going to abstain since I wasn't in attendance. Thank you.
Item 3, regular agenda, consideration of recommendation of the Fire Station 41 bench public art project. And I believe we do the public comment before or after?
After we present.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chair Korowitz and Commissioners. I am Connie Leek, Recreation Manager. Tonight we are asking the Commission to consider a recommendation to City Council for the Fire Station 41 bench art project installation. A little background on the project. West Sacramento Fire Station 41 is located at 132 15th Street. It is the city's oldest operating fire station. It was built in 1938 with funds from the volunteer fire department. The original station was a community gathering place with significant historical relevance and roots in West Sacramento. In 2006, the station underwent a major renovation, and the aesthetics of the facility renovation were selected to honor the people, efforts, and history of the original building. And if you stop by and look at the station, there's a plaque displayed right on the front of the building, and it shows you what the station actually looked like in 1938. And it's very clear that though the station has had a major renovation, they're very much stayed with honoring the look and style of the original building. You can really see it when you look at the plaque. The renovation also included a large bench for seating, located at a small parking lot across the street from the station. The bench was constructed of hay bales, several layers of rebar, and cement. The bench was intended to serve as the foundation for a future public art installation project, but due to staffing changes, funding limitations, and lack of public art in-house expertise, the project was never completed. At this commission, the topic of the completion of the bench as a future public art installation project was brought up, and that was in February of 2021, this meeting. Commissioner Denise Domke, who's not able to be with us tonight, has served on this commission for many, many years. And she sort of summed it up well when she remarked that the bench still looked like a white blob or slug, and it should be looked at to be completed as a public art project as it was intended. From there, current staff, myself, went back and researched sort of the history on the project and gathered a lot of the information that I just told you. After reporting to the Commission on June 28th of 2021, the Commission unanimously recommended that the West Sacramento Fire Station 41 Bench Public Art Project be completed using up to $50,000 of the existing Public Art Fund money. The Commission also recommended contracting with public art consultant Shelley Willis for public art solicitation, artist selection, and coordination of the project. Shelley Willis is actually here with me tonight, and she'll be joining up here in just a few minutes. She is a public art consultant who is working with myself, staff on this project. She has an impressive career with a vast experience in public art. She's been working as a public art curator, project manager, and planner for 30 years. She was the public art director of the Sacramento Metropolitan Arts Commission for 10 of those years, where she oversaw the development of dozens of permanent and temporary public artworks, including the Sacramento International Airport Terminal B Public Art Program and the Golden One Center Entertainment and Sports Complex. She also planned and executed Sacramento's first mural festival in 2015. And in 2017, Shelley left the city of Sacramento to start an art planning and project management consulting business to help people like me, because I don't know a lot about this stuff. So she's been a real help to me. On January 19th of this year, City Council authorized staff to initiate the West Sacramento Fire Station 41 Bench Public Art Project and adopted Resolution 2211 authorizing the use of public art funds not to exceed $50,000 and the West Sacramento Foundation Infrastructure and Amenities Fund Grant Award to complete the project. And a little side note, what that award is, Parks and Recreation Director Tracy Michael was able to work with the wonderful West Sacramento Foundation, and they were really excited about this project, and they graciously offered a $5,000 sort of matching grant amount to this project. Since then, staff has worked with our public art consultant, Shelley Willis. We prepared an RFQ for the project. The RFQ was made available for artists in the immediate region, and we emphasized Yolo, Sacramento, El Dorado, Placer, Sutter, Yuba, Nevada, and Solano counties. We put a lot of effort into sharing the RFQ and really trying to get the word out there. We compiled a large distribution list of artists, galleries, art organizations, listservs, and other art supporters. And I really want to thank the commissioners on this commission because many of you gave resources, artists, and connections, and you helped make that large distribution list. So thank you for that. Over 750 emails were delivered successfully to share the information of the RFQ on that distribution list. And the RFQ was open for 6 weeks. Final analytics of the RFQ in our e-procurement, electronic procurement portal show a pretty impressive project count. I'm pretty proud of it. There was a view count of 1,259 views of the project with 25 RFQ downloads. So they actually took the time to download the whole application. 18 applicants, and of those, there were 9 complete submissions. City staff reviewed and verified the complete submissions. An artist selection panel was put together consisting of 2 arts, culture, and historic preservation commissioners, a community representative, city staff, and our public art consultant to review these RFQ submissions. And they ultimately selected 5 of the highest ranking to become finalists in this process. Complete an in-person site visit of Station 41 and the bench. Those finalists received a $500 honorarium and were asked to kind of develop their design concept so it could be seen what they would actually do with the bench project. I want to thank Commissioners Cheryl Gleason and Commissioner Denise Domke for serving on the art selection panel. Cheryl's input as an arts professional, and she herself being an artist, was extremely valuable. And Commissioner Domke's history and knowledge of the project was also extremely valuable. I would also like to say a huge thank you to Community Representative Pat Flint for her role on the panel. And Pat is with us tonight. Pat has been in our community and in the neighborhood of the project for over 70 years. And she was able to share stories and memories of historical relevance to this project and that station and how it relates to this community. Pat has family members who directly served at the station. And it was just really motivating to hear stories about things that happened there and in our community. And just in general, I want to thank the staff, the panel, and our consultant for their contribution and enthusiasm for this project. That will be completed this next year, 2023, in time to mark the 85th year of Fire Station 41 in our community. That's a pretty cool thing to coincide. I also need to thank the crew of Fire Station 41 that worked with Parks and Recreation staff to allow tours of the station by the finalists and of the bench. And they were just really accommodating. And they did their jobs and were still putting out fires, but they also were allowing us to give tours and conduct the business of the panel. So I would also like to give a huge shout out to the West Sacramento Historical Society. They really came through for the historical preservation portion of this project. The Historical Society gave us access to archived photos relating to Fire Station 41. These were very old, very cool photos. They related to firefighting, the station, pictures of the trucks throughout the years, just very neat to see. And access to those archived photos were made available to the 5 finalists as they saw fit in their design concept if they chose to use them. So they all received that resource. Last month, the selection panel convened once more to interview the 5 finalists, review and score their design concepts. The panel unanimously ranked Studio KLY's proposal as the highest. It is therefore staff's recommendation that the commission consider and recommend the selection of Studio KLY to City Council for the art procurement and installation. Studio KLY's proposal meets panel review criteria, reflects original ideas. It's made of durable materials. It keeps within the approved budget, and it includes a strong community engagement component, as you'll hear more about in a minute. And the selection panel really liked the idea of honoring this project and involving the community and having an opportunity for community to actually maybe get to touch and make some things that get used in the project, the final. So Studio KLY's proposed art project also honors the past, the present, and the future of the neighborhood and the community surrounding the station. So, and public art consultant Shelley Willis will now come share in a little more detail the proposals of the 5 finalists and the selection panel's highest ranked proposal and recommendation for this public art piece.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, thank you for having me. Connie, thank you for that great introduction to the project. Before I get started and to review the different finalist proposals, I'd just like again to echo Connie's acknowledgement of Commissioners Domke and Gleason and Pat for serving on the panel. You know, it takes a lot of time to go through the proposals and review all of the materials and interview the artists. And so thank you for your time and excellent feedback and, you know, consideration of the proposals that were presented. So as Connie said, there were 5 proposals. We did ask all of the artists to submit a line item budget for the project, images that would reflect their idea. They could submit images in whatever format they wanted. They could build a maquette. They could do, you know, photoshopped images, however they wanted to relate the idea. We also asked them to submit their qualifications, references, and a description of the project. So there were 5 finalists, and I'm going to start you know, with the proposals that weren't selected, and then end with the final proposal, KLY Studio, and which were selected unanimously. So Calderon Studios, they were the only finalists selected that were outside of this region. So they're from Southern California. It's a duo of artists, Rudy Calderon and Roberto Delgado. Rudy was actually the person that presented the idea for the project. Both of the artists are quite accomplished. Actually, all of the artists that I'm presenting tonight are accomplished and have a lot of experience in making public art. This duo were commissioned to create work in California, for the city of San Jose, the city of Laguna Beach, Del Mar, California, all throughout the state. Rudy received his BFA from California State University, LA, and has taught at Otis College of Art and Design, among other institutions. So the idea that they have is they work a lot with stone, different kinds of stone. So they wanted to take pieces of stone and rock, and with different sort of colors and hues and types, and transfer images that were historic onto tile and mosaic onto the stone, and then they proposed embedding that stone work into the bench. So you can see that they, we're proposing to create, maybe a half dozen of these stone pieces at the base of the bench and on the back of the bench and on the front of the bench and actually on the sides as well. They also, like some of the artists, really wanted to sort of integrate that groundwork that the bench sits on into the project I don't know if you've been out there recently, but it's right now, it's mostly dirt and some ground covering, and there's a tree right there at the site. But all of the artists were like, we need to do something with this, this site that the bench sits on. So this is sort of an example of their proposal. The next artist is from Chico, California, and her name is Robin Indar of Indar Mosaic. Again, she lives and works in Chico. She has created many projects throughout the region. She's done a lot of work with benches already, but quite a bit of her past work that you can see to the right is sculptural. So she creates these sculptures and then clads them with mosaic. She makes all of her mosaic is hand crafted. So her project, she was going to try something different for this bench project. She proposed creating a series of tiles that were silk screened with images that she took in and around the community where the bench is placed. So she had this idea of taking some time to come out and photograph people walking their dogs and their children and playing in the baseball field, and then taking those images and silk screening them onto tile and cladding the bench with those tiles. So she also wanted to put some text onto the back of the bench. So you can see here that she's created the colors that reflect the river and the landscape and sort of indicate, sort of that feeling of the river on the backdrop of the bench. The next artist's proposal that I like to go through is Wes Horn. Wes is actually from Yolo County, and he does almost solely benches. I've seen so much of his work, and he's done dozens and dozens of these benches, and very intricate designs that are site specific. He's represented in multiple public and private collections throughout the state. His work has been exhibited at the Nutsulis Gallery that you probably all know about, the new Leave Gallery sculpture site in Sonoma, California, and he's had work at the Ceramic Annual of America conference at Fort Mason in San Francisco. And you can see examples of his past work there to your right. So his idea was to work actually with the commission and the community to find imagery that really reflected, again, the history of West Sacramento and the flora and fauna of West Sacramento. You can see sort of the color palette in this slide that he wanted to work with. And he also, in addition to doing something that was flat on the bench, he wanted to create some dimensional objects that would, come off the bench, 1-2 inches or so, like this bird in the slide. So the focal point of his piece, of course, is the fire station bell and a contemporary, fire truck and a historic fire truck. And then he walked around the neighborhood and looked at the historic houses and thought he would incorporate those into the bench imagery, as well as I said, some flowers and landscape and birds and fish, that are common to this region and area. He did, he was very open to incorporating again, things that were important to the community if he were chosen and had the opportunity to do further research. He, along with the artists that were selected, work a lot with the community, and he was one of two that also included a community workshop, community fabrication component to his proposal. The next artist is Gar Ugalde. Gar lives in Sacramento. He's been here for many, many years. He's a sculptor, although I included this example of his past work because it is two-dimensional. Again, he's made lots of work throughout the city. He has a piece at Fairytale Town and at American River College. So again, quite accomplished. He was the only artist of the 5 that chose to deal with the bench in a different way. All the other artists wanted to clad it, and in his case, he really wanted to create a sculptural element to the piece. So he has this idea of making a sort of shade structure that out of steel, 410 steel, that would rust naturally in the weather, and be cut out with patterns, again, of the flora and fauna of the area. He also saw the bench as a place that I think we all see it as a place to gather and sit and rest and talk to your neighbor. And so he wanted to reinforce that idea by creating these benches that are tables and additional chairs that would allow people to play games and congregate and have conversations. So finally, this piece, this proposal by KLY Studios was unanimously selected. It was really great at the end of the panel. It was just, very firmly, everyone was in agreement and excited about this piece by Christina Young and Sam Tubiolo. So KLY Studios is Christina Young, but for this project, she chose to collaborate with Sam Tubiolo. So I'm going to talk to you about both of their work more in depth. Sam, they both live and work in Napa, California. They share a studio space, and they've shared that space for many, many years. And, because they share the space, they work together, they share materials, and have worked on each other's projects in the past. Sam is, he's again quite accomplished. He received his MFA from the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. He is currently the site coordinator in the Arts and Corrections program at the medical facility in Vacaville, California, and has been doing that for many years. His work has been exhibited throughout California, New Mexico, and New York. And you can see to the right again these images of his past work where he's done 2 projects at fire stations. So he's used to that community and has designed work for fire stations before. And he's done a lot of 2D tile work and sort of carving into materials on the facades of buildings. All right, and then this is Christina Young. And Christina Young, again, lives in Napa. She has her BFA in painting from Richmond College at the American International University, London, UK. She recently completed this installation that I've seen on the side of it's the Chrysler dealership in Napa, California, but it was commissioned by a big foundation in Napa, the Gasser Foundation. And it's, several hundred feet in size. The mural, to the right, is made with thousands of tiles and depicts historic old cars. And you can see the detail there in the front, which is a drawing that she made of a driver of one of the cars. She has also done so many she's made a real career out of working with children and families to create projects, public projects, and she's currently in the process of doing the final phase of a major project that is, acknowledging the Napa earthquake in 2007. She's worked with over 2,000 family members, individuals, kids, to create these tiles that are made with materials that were broken and collected and given to her from the community after the earthquake. And so it's taken her all these years, and it's just incredible, teak plates and all kinds of things that were destroyed in the earthquake, but are now part of this mural. So the mural is in, it's all the tiles have been fabricated, and it will be installed on a giant train car in the Rail Arts District in Napa, California. So their project actually has, includes the bench, but they proposed something for the groundwork in front of the bench as well. They've titled it, "It Takes a Village." And there are, they did a lot of research, as Connie said, looking at those historic images, taking a tour of the fire station, really thinking about the community to come up with their idea that acknowledges and includes images of Old Mary, which some of you may know about, a very important old fire engine from this community. And they love this image because it included, members of the community back then. It also includes, ironically and surprisingly, goats. A goat, sorry. And the reason they chose to include that image in their piece is because, goats are now used to, mitigate fire and fire prevention, and sort of are, I would imagine, a historic but also very modern way of preventing fires. And this photo was actually taken on Jefferson here in West Sacramento. So here is a front view of their proposed piece. So you can see that the image that they are working with was black and white, but the artists have decided that they would take that image and hand paint it onto tiles in color. And that image then would be fired onto the tile. You can see the goat up there on the top, standing, prominently in the center, sort of on a funny replacement of the Dalmatian, dog that we are used to seeing in images of fire stations. So they're also proposing to include a floor sort of area tiled in a pattern that is connected to Patwin baskets. And of course, Patwin are indigenous to West Sacramento. And they haven't worked out the exact final design yet, but the tiles will be terracotta in color. The back of the bench, in a process that Sam is really used to working with, the image of the goat, again, holding the fire, trying to control the fire hose, will go all the way across the back of the bench. So there's a better photo of that front part, ground area. So again, I just like to emphasize both of their interest and experience in working with the community and their desire to really include the community in this project. And Sam, you can see him using sort of a similar tile process in workshops for a project he did in a park. And what the community did in this case was help cut the tiles, but also they took images that or patterns that they either collected or he gave them and pressed them into the tile. So if you approve Christina and Sam's proposal tonight, they'll really think through what that exact design will be and how the community will participate in making that part of the. So with that, I will answer any of your questions, and Connie as well. We can answer any of you about the proposed projects and the panel.
First, I would like to invite Pat Flint up for public comment. And we'll have the 3-minute timer again.
Been a couple of years since I've been in front of this podium. And thank you for being here and allowing me to sit on this panel. I am the historian when it comes to that neighborhood and that firehouse. There were at least 20 volunteer firemen from all the way from Clarksburg throughout West Sacramento that were volunteers at this firehouse, my father included. So it means a lot to us. Old Mary, who is now at Burgers and Brew, was an essential part of all parades in this town. Always had children on it, always driven by a fireman, volunteer, or, well, I don't remember what year it became an actual firehouse, but I know several of the volunteers became firemen, paid firemen at the firehouse. And I can go on all night with stories, but I just want to let you know I enjoyed sitting on this committee. I chose this pattern, and I, like you, probably saying, what is the goat doing on the fire truck? Why do we want a goat on the bench? Well, I'm still on the fence on that. But in my mind, and I'm not an artist, but I appreciate art, the goat represents fire suppression today. I remember my father and the firemen all went out every year in the summertime, and they started fires to, kill the growth. And so that's kind of what our goats do today. So that was part of the future. I like the simplicity of it because it's easy to take pictures if you want to sit down and take pictures with your family. Family was a big part of the fire community. It was a big part of our community. And so I thought this represented that area in particular. Now, if you want me to go into detail on the other artists, I think that their art can be put anywhere here in West Sacramento. I thought they were outstanding artists. So I appreciate being on the committee with everybody that was on there, and I hope you like the design. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Flint. Are there any questions from commissioners? Mr. Perez?
So just to be clear, how is the decision going to be made? Is that with us, or because I see that there's a variety of them, right? And all of them are great, fantastic, right? How do we get to choose which one goes there?
The art selection panel that consisted of 2 members of this commission and the representative from the community have made the recommendation of this last Studio KLY piece. And so the recommendation tonight is that the commission forward that recommendation to City Council, and they would actually adopt and make the decision. But there is an alternative if you didn't want to recommend the panel selection, but that is the recommendation of the panel.
Okay, great. So thank you for clearing that up. So then I do have a couple of comments. Great piece. I really like it. When I was going through these pieces, how I was measuring them is in my time as serving here on the commission, going back through a variety of different art pieces that we have voted on respectively. Some of the art pieces have shown up on our community discussion board on Facebook. And overwhelmingly, the responses that I get in terms of holding art, our respective art, to a standard is, number one, is the artist from YOLO or in our region? And does the art have anything to do with our respective city? That's how I measure each and every art piece, whether you're an 8-year-old or however you are. And I think going back to Ms. Flint, what she's saying, I want to add on to that. I agree with her. To add on is the goat I would consider, I think those goats were introduced to West Sac within less than five years, right? Is that fair? I see this as old school, like paying homage to our history. I'm 4th generation West Sacramentan. My great-grandmother came here in 1938. And meeting our current generation with the goat. So from my opinion and from the feedback that I've received from the community, I think that not only is this really good art, and subjective, right? I'm not an art guy. I think, in my opinion, that this meets all of the criteria from what I've heard from the community, and it's a great piece. That's just my opinion, and I just wanted to share it, and thank you guys for sharing this.
I had something to say about the art too. I looked at all the individual art pieces that you guys presented us earlier and downloaded them. And when I seen them, I was amazed with the creativity and a lot of the colors they used and the imagination they had. And they all seem to pretty much incorporate what you were asking of them, even including the spirituality of the art piece. The one that hit it the most, I'd say, would be the one that you recommended, and I like to recommend that too. I like the idea of using Old Mary. I like the idea of showing the people that grew up in that neighborhood on the fire engine itself. Like Pat mentioned, every parade that we've had, there's always been somebody riding on that from the community, so that's obviously a big part of our community. Even the slug was made out of hay and heavy barbed wire, and it was created. So it was created by the people from the community. So it's good that they're able to incorporate some artwork on top of that. I'm pretty sure it was kind of a challenge, but they did it. And I like the idea of the Native American, the Patwin tribe, the artwork being used from that. I can see that in the design that they have here. Beautiful basket, the colors and everything. And, the incorporation of the goats is a good idea, too. And I like the idea of the fire hose with the flow of the water, because water is life. And our city has been built around the water, and it has sustained life for a long time. We fish in that river, and we grow crops. And as you know, Sacramento in the valley is a farmland. Still is to this day. A lot of cities couldn't exist without water, so having the water out there flowing from that hose is a great idea too. I seen one of the artists in there had a piece of art that showed a fireman with the hose, and the fireman was covered completely in uniform and mask. And I seen that, and I says, "Wow, that's pretty. That's a striking image. Because it not only shows, you can't tell if it's a woman or a man to begin with, because they have the mask on." And so it crosses genders, because we all know firemen aren't just firemen. We have women in the fire department too. And so I liked that idea of the way they had it all covered up. I was hoping that they would have incorporated that in like they did on the San Jose fire station, because it's also timeless, and we're looking for past, present, and future. And as you know, we've had lots come through the fire station from the past when it was created till today and to come. So just like the water is fluid and flowing when the fireman or woman is spraying it with the water, it's flowing. And so I like the idea of having is it possible, without changing the price, to incorporate that image on there too, but not losing the goat either, but maybe putting the goat in further down the flow of river, because it is fire suppression, and we didn't always use it in the past, but we use it now. Is it possible to do something like that without changing the price? Or if not, then I understand. But I would have liked to have seen that too, incorporated. Other than that, I'd say yeah.
I noticed that on this design, the two sides don't have any imagery, so there may be an opportunity there for additional image.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that we could ask the artist, but I would imagine it would add some funding to the budget, in materials and time.
Yeah, well, that's just my suggestion. If they want to do it or not, then they would go ahead and okay that. But it's just a suggestion. But other than that, I like it.
I wouldn't want to lose the goats. They add so much whimsy to it. For me, it's a delight to see the goats around town when they're there, and I would immediately be drawn to this image because of my love of animals.
Yeah.
Ms. Leeson?
I'll be last.
Okay.
I was just going to commend staff. I think the proposals looked great. I think the commissioners obviously had a difficult time selecting because there was a lot to look at. I would second Commissioner Perez's comment about, would love to give preference to artists from our local area. I'd be curious if there were any artists from West Sacramento, but I do think the work stands for itself and would be a great addition to the city. Just something to consider, when you're looking at that amount of tiling, would have the opportunity, if we can't find a local artist, there are lots of local art communities that could participate in a project of this size. One thought comes to mind about partnering with YOLO Arts for the tiling. I mean, that might be something that children in our community could do, and then eventually we could, have a young artist ourselves here who within our own community could eventually create the next phase. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here. I really like the design, and I just appreciate all the time.
I would like to say that in our scoring process, artists who were from Yolo County received preference in scoring. I think they 5 extra points. Yeah.
May I ask, because I was under the assumption that they were from YOLO, and I just want to be clear, our rules they only have to be within California, or is there any rules of such magnitude? The reason why I ask is because there was an art piece that we voted on that they were from out of state, and I know we received flack, so that's why I just want to be very clear that we had brought that up, cross-examined, and we were okay with that as a commission, right?
Yeah, there is no requirement for that. However, I talked about that at the beginning of the staff report, that we really concentrated on the region, and then there were preferential points for Yolo County, and we really concentrated on the counties around us in this region in Yolo County.
One more concern. The front portion of the art, that's going to be an image imprinted on small tiles to make a mosaic of the fire engine population, right?
It will actually be hand painted on it. So the image is in black and white, so they want to colorize it. And so the artist isn't, she wants her hand to be in it, so it's not just a photo transferred to the tiles. So she'll hand paint it and then glaze it, fire it.
So is it going to have a protective edge around the image itself, the mosaic, to keep it from coming loose from the sides?
Yeah. There'll be it'll be caulked and everything so that it's it adheres like any other tile on buildings and in places.
And any edges on the sides that maybe deteriorate or fall off or something can be easily replaced to repair?
What we usually do is ask the artists to submit a maintenance and conservation plan, and then we ask the artists to give us replacement tiles so that we can have those, on hand if something should happen in the future. Also, if this is approved and they're put under contract, we usually recommend a 2-year warranty on the project. So we figure that within that 2 years, we'll see any flaws in the piece that would have to be taken care of by the artist.
So this is one artist on the front and another artist on the back.
They're actually a collaborative team, but Christina Young will be doing it's my understanding that she'll be doing that painting part on the front and that Sam will work on the back.
I've seen the other one is they draw in like clay and create the tile and then put them on. So we actually getting more than just one type of variation of art. Actually 3, I think, because you have the bottom part, the back part, which is done differently, created differently, and the front part. So
and
actually done very well.
They're considering in that, that part on the ground that the community workshop would be cutting those pieces, but also they're sort of batting around what would be pressed into the clay. And so they're thinking about that and, what relationship, whatever those images are, would be, critical to or important to West Sacramento.
Yeah, and it also brings in the residents, be part of that creation, so that's very nice.
Right. Especially these two, of all of them, they have just such a vast, experience working with little kids on up to, our elders in projects like this, and have systems and ways of, really working with the community to do something that's substantial, and they can, so that's the tile I made, which I think really creates this great connection,
Yes.
from the community and generations following to the piece itself.
We all have a part in it.
Right.
That's great.
Okay, I will go. I absolutely love it. I was concerned at the beginning ones because I didn't see a whole lot of historic items on the bench. So when it came to this, it was just a no-brainer that this is perfect for what we need there. And yes, bringing in Old Mary is wonderful. I actually rode on Old Mary when I was a child in the parade. So that's really cool that we're able to bring that in. I love the fact that we're going to bring the community in. And like you just said, you get more of the support and more of the buy-in. And I remember when the River Cats did that when they opened. And we still go there and see my daughter's tiles. So it's just great to have that feeling that that you were part of something, part of the history of West Sacramento. So I think they did a fabulous job. I thank you to the panel for putting your time in and allowing us to bring this forward and allowing us to vote on it.
Thank you. I am just curious about the bottom piece there. I can see the color scheme ties in with the basket and some of the curvature, but it's pretty much just abstracted, right? Because I don't think that if I arrive there, I would immediately recognize that as an homage to indigenous culture.
This is what I call a concept design. So the artists, if they're commissioned to do the project, they'll work through a final design of that ground project that will more accurately represent that basket that
thank
you
for
saw.
clarifying.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I was also thinking if they're pressing items into it, that it would be nice to tie that culture in as well, maybe the plants that they used for various purposes that are local. Anyway, thank you for explaining that.
There'll be a little plaque too, explaining the creation of the art piece.
Yes, I say the short answer is yes, and usually the minimum information on those labels are title, date, medium, dimension, name of artist, acknowledgement of the commission.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not unusual, and maybe for this piece, it would be really great to include what I call some, extended label information that tells the story of the imagery there.
Be great. Thank you.
So first of all, I want to thank Parks and Rec and Shelley for your time. I found it amazing to participate on this commission. I also want to thank Pat for all of her amazing stories and wisdom that she shared with us that day when we were looking through these artists. I will tell you that every single one of these artists are amazing artists in their own right. I've seen a lot of public art. I run an art gallery. They all are extremely talented. Each one was brilliant in their own right. The reason why this one resonated with us was the historical factor, because it does bring Old Mary and the firehouse. It was simplistic but elegant. The recoloration of it was
something that brought color and interest. And this group overall, I thought really laid down, because we didn't ask them, it wasn't in the RFQ to do the groundwork. They did that on their own. So they really did their homework. They were spot on their RFQ. They followed every letter to the law. They were one of the only ones that was spot on budget, timeline, and they've worked together. So these two really checked every box for us. And then the design was just a bit of brilliance, I thought. And as Pat said, it brings a lot of the old, the current, because our fire trucks are red now. But also, we are known for our goats. And there isn't a kid in West Sacramento that doesn't run out or scream in awe every time the goats come out. So this is really something that has something for everyone. And then the icing on the cake was that they put the indigenous factor of the Padawan basket in there, which to all of us that were sitting on the panel just sealed the deal for us. It has whimsy. It has really great composition. It doesn't look like a slug anymore, and I think anybody in this room should be proud to sit on it when it gets finished. And I want to thank you all.
Thank you. We do have one request from the public to speak on this matter. Ms. Rhonda Pope Flores.
So I got drug in when I saw the basket. Sorry, that's my native side coming out. I'm not sure what all of the planned incorporations are, but I would strongly recommend that you work with your local tribe. And I will just say it. We Indians, we get real picky about people incorporating our culture without consulting with us. I get real mad. So I'm just saying it would be really good to work with the tribe. I think it would be a good partnership. And I would also, if it were my tribe, I'd be like, well, I want my tribal members to do this art because this is my culture and nobody can do this like I can. So that would be my recommendation, is to work with your tribe. It's an honor to have a tribe within your local, within your area. And so embrace that. I think it's beautiful. I appreciate that. The other thing I want to say is that, we Native Americans really know how to deal with fire. So instead of just incorporating a basket, actually incorporate the methods that we use. If you look at, all the fires that have happened, they're starting to lean towards tribes because they know what they're doing. So it might be a different concept other than just a basket. It might be something a lot deeper. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you. I do like the part of using the local tribe, and maybe in the community part of it, when they bring the community in, we can ask them, reach out. So. All right. I would like to entertain a motion to accept the recommended action for this item.
I'll second.
Would you like to make a motion?
Oh. I will make that motion.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Great. All right. We have a new art piece.
Thank you.
Next item is our director's report.
Good evening, Chair, members of the Commission. Tracy Michael, Parks and Recreation Director. I mentioned at your last meeting that City Council had recently approved a contract with the Melton Design Group for the almost $8 million renovation and expansion project at West Acre Park. The basic plan for the park was developed several years ago when we applied for the grant funding, but now we're at a point where we need to refine the designs. And that included a community engagement effort that launched on Wednesday, October 12th at West Acre Park. Some of you were able to attend in person. It was a really great, positive, successful event. We had, well over 150 people. We know that because Connie and her team served at least over 150 hot dogs that our parks crew were out in the park grilling. And we got a lot of great feedback. We included input on theming of the general design elements of the park, the design aesthetic, as well as the public art that will be part of the project. We also had a breakout group that focused on the skate park and pump track, which is really going to become an all-wheel type of park. Very different vocabulary for that element of the design that I am still learning, but it was really great to see people of all ages who skate. They're either skateboarders, they might have scooters, they might have bikes, or quad skates, which are basically roller skates that, you know, most of us know about, but the younger people call them quad skates now. But really developing the different elements, which are very technical for that part of the park, and just got a lot of general great feedback from residents from all over the community, a big turnout from pickleballers. We will have our first publicly accessible outdoor lit pickleball courts in West Sacramento, which is really exciting. And if you weren't able to make it in person, and for anybody who is watching this, there is a survey that's available online through the end of the month where you can access from our website, our Parks and Rec home page, westsacfund.org, and offer some additional input on the park plans. We can't change the elements that are going into the park renovation because that is controlled by the grant funding based on our original application, but this is an opportunity to refine the designs. And I think we heard a lot of feedback from the community about paying homage to the fact that it is a school district owned site. There was school district activity on that site historically. There's a cool warehouse building that if we can keep the main bones of that building could create a cool shade element for the skate park. So just some great ideas. So I encourage you all to check out the survey if you weren't able to attend in person. And then I wanted to also highlight that this Saturday is our Safe Trunk or Treat event that is taking place at the Recreation Center in River City High School. Over the past few years, we changed the format to be a drive-through event because of COVID, and it grew and turned out to be a really great change. Now we're going to have an on-foot event, and we expect it to be even bigger, and we have more community partners. So please check that out. If you know of anyone who's looking for something to do to celebrate Halloween, send them our way. We'll have a lot of great activities and prizes and treats for people.
What time was that going to be at again?
11 a.m. to approximately 2 p.m. And I don't know if there's anything else I should add to that, Connie. That's kind of, you can check out our website. It's also on our homepage. And that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. I did attend the West Acre Park Input Night last week, and it was amazing to see so many community members and community members from all over, community members from down south, over in Broderick, from Bright, older generations, younger generations, the pickleball ladies, they were very serious about what they wanted. So just a great job to the Park and Rec Department for putting that on and allowing the public to come and give input and look at it. And I'm very excited for the new park. I think it's going to be a great addition to that part of our city that has needed some attention. I love the idea of taking the old, we call it the rat warehouse, because whenever you go, when I worked for the district, And was there for quite a long time. When I would ask for something, they're like, oh, we have to go over to the rat warehouse, Carrie, to get that paperwork because you've been here so long, we don't have it digitally. So the gentleman was telling me the idea of opening it, just kind of leaving the top of it and creating a shade space for the community to go and sit under there. So not going away from it, because that is a big part of that corner right there is that warehouse. So anyway, just thank you for a great job, everybody, and look forward to seeing it come to fruition.
Yes, and on that note, it was a great reminder for me. We are looking to schedule a second public meeting that will take all of the input we received into another plan or two for additional feedback. We are looking at the first week of December, and we might actually let people go into the warehouse building to view the plans and even go through some skate park design elements. If we have inclement weather, we want to try to still host it on site. So we're working through that right now. So we'll send out information in advance so that you have a chance to participate in that.
Okay, do we have any commissioner communications?
Can I talk about an event going on this Sunday?
Absolutely.
This Sunday, we will be celebrating Dia de los Muertos at Bright Park. Last year, it was just a great event. We did a celebration of those who have passed, and there's all kinds of different groups out there. I believe that they're going to have tacos this year again, so that's a major plus. When I was told about it, I said, you had me at tacos, waters, and I'm not sure about the snow cone part, but there'll be all kinds of stuff. And this year, it's from 12 p.m. to 4, not 10 to 2. And, last one. I do want to give a big thank you to Miss Pope Flores because as I heard, this is kind of a side note. Again, I'm born and raised here in West Sacramento. She was born and raised here. And although, because I know her family very well, although she doesn't live here, the fact that she's coming back and renovating our VFW hall, I very much appreciate that. Actually, I spoke to your daughter about it 2 months ago. And I offered my help. If you guys need any help, I'd love to do it. Anything that betters our community, because I'm sure we can do art things there. And so I just want to say thank you to even former residents that still come back and give. Thank you.
I was just going to remind everyone to vote. And I was going to remind folks that the applications are open for commissions too. So if someone is watching and wants to apply to be on a commission, it's a great opportunity to help your community.
Thank you. Violetta?
Yes, ma'am.
Any reports or comments?
No, I was just going to just repeat what you said about the Parks and Rec. They did a great job out there. I was able to go out there, and I seen there were a lot of people. Great participation. I seen all that writing on the plans and everything. I even included a little bit inside there for the seniors. Hope to see them in the new plans. And Dudes, can't wait to see the next one you guys put up. Thank you.
Thank you. I was going to bring up our input, but we already covered that. The only thing that I had is, and I don't know if we can, in the presentation, Connie, you referred to the Historical Society of West Sacramento. And I've heard about them for a long, long time. But I was hoping maybe they can come and do a presentation at one of our meetings so we get to know more about them and what they do and how we can partner with them.
She's got to give me voice. They're a great partner. And they had come a few years back, and then we kind of went to our virtual meetings during our COVID time. I can certainly invite them to come to one of our future meetings and talk to you about all the projects they have going on and the displays that they do at our community center. They're very busy, but I will definitely get that on sort of the radar.
Great.
Thank you.
And another one also would be the West Sacramento Art Guild, maybe, if we can kind of keep that in the back of our mind also, getting a presentation maybe from them.
Yes. Also a strong partner
Right.
who yeah, they've presented here in the past.
I'd like
so
to
get
just
them on
learn
the
more
radar.
about both of them.
Yes.
And how we can all partner together.
Yeah, they do some amazing stuff across the street at the community center.
Thank you.
You don't have to go far because Dawn is sitting right here.
Oh.
She's part of the guild.
I forgot to mention, I've been a member of the guild for 2 years.
I don't know, Tracy, I asked Connie this. When is the RFP deadline for Trailhead? Is it November 15th? Do you have that?
I don't have it. I don't know it at the top of my head, but we extended it for a few additional weeks.
Okay.
Just to make sure that we were giving ample time. So I will check on that.
Okay, I just wanted to I was going to resend it out again on social media, so I wanted to make sure
If you give me a second, I may actually be able to log in here and find it out. Thank you.
Be sure to invite some of the artists that we had presented.
Okay. Ms. Peterson.
Hi. I'd just like to say that I really embrace the suggestion that we bring in the local tribe to discuss that design element. I'm so glad that you brought that up, and it was kind of like a of course moment for me, especially with the word culture in the name of our commission. I would urge us to make that a priority. We are not representing their culture for them.
The system's very slow, so don't wait for me. I apologize. I can just tell the general community to check out opengov.com because we do have the solicitation available and it was extended for 2 additional weeks.
Great. Well, with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right. Motion carries. We adjourn.